Hello, it's Hake here, and in this video we're gonna discuss why your computer goes slow. Because a lot of people come to me on videos on YouTube and they're wondering why their computer runs slow, and there's numerous causes to a computer running slow, and we can't always give you the exact cause. It can be ranging from software to hardware, and it takes a lot of knowledge to know what's the real cause of a slow computer. I will talk to you for an example. A dying hard drive can cause such a slow computer latency problem that your computer will run really slow, even if you clean all your temp files, even if you clean all your, even if you clean every reinstall Windows and you remove all malware that may be on your computer, it will still run slow if you have a failing hard drive. Normally when hard drives fail, they normally it starts off really gradual, and then your computer just gradually gets slower and slower and slower. And it doesn't matter how much you clean your computer, it will still run poorly. Your programs stop responding. You may get blue screens. You may have your computer crashing. You may boot your system up and you may get a blue screen one day, and you may not be able to fix that blue screen. Those are results normally of hard drive failing on you. And hard drive failing doesn't always result in a corrupt operating system. It can just result in a computer getting slower and slower and slower. And yeah, how do you tell if your hard drive's failing? Is a bit tricky. Well, if you followed my other videos and stuff that I've done on how to make Windows 10 run extremely fast, and you've did every step, and you've ran Malwarebytes and all of the softwares to clean out the computer, and your computer is still running very poorly, try reinstalling Windows, and if it continues to run poorly after a fresh install of Windows, you really should consider upgrading your hardware. Some people that come to me have a slow computer and they have really horrible hardware. It's basically time for them to get a brand new computer altogether. And there's some people that have got Windows 7 and it only has 2 gigs of memory, and it has like a hard drive with maybe 250 gigabytes of space. It has a CPU, which is an Intel Core Phantom or something very basic, and they've upgraded from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and they still have 2 gigs of memory, and that's going to run slow as heck. I mean, that is going to run poor. I mean, the CPU is not really good. The computer is worth $250. It's probably a laptop or a desktop that they bought somewhere really cheap. And that's going to really be slow if you upgraded to Windows 10, if you have 2 gigabytes of memory. So some steps in this video is to first decipher how much memory you have. And this is very basic for everyone. But if you right click on your desktop, on your start menu here, when we go into your system, it tells you how much memory you have. If that's 2 gigs of RAM and you're running Windows 8 or Windows 10, your computer's really going to not run that good. Alright? And then keep in mind, if your hard drive's failing you, your computer's going to run slow. So if you've reinstalled Windows, right, and it's still going slow, first thing to do is make sure you check how much RAM you have. If you only have 2 in here, then upgrade and add more RAM to the computer. If it's still running slow after a fresh install of Windows, upgrade your hard drive. And in fact, upgrade to an SSD drive. They're 10 times faster. You can get them online on Newegg. They're getting cheaper. They used to be very expensive. Yes, they're going to cost more per gigabyte, but you're going to get a much faster computer. An SSD drive, you can boot your computer up within 15 seconds. You'll be on your desktop. It's much better than using a hard drive, which most computers come with. So if you go to newegg.com, I need to take a look at their website. They sell computer stuff. This is where I built my gaming computer. I bought parts of them. Right, SSD drive in here and figure out how much space you need. There's different SSD drives that they have. There's the Samsung one is what I have, but I only have 120 gigabytes. And then I have a second external hard drive, which is a terabyte, is which I put all my stuff on. So if we take a look at their 120 gigabyte SSD drive. I'm sorry. I think this is it. Or maybe even their 250 gigabyte SSD drive. That's 250 gigabytes of space. I know that's not much, but because you're only going to install the operating system onto it, it's going to run super fast off the SSD drive. What I have here in my computer, if I click on here and I right click and I go into File Explorer and I click on this PC, you can see here that I got my C drive, which is an SSD drive. It's only 150 gigabytes, not 250, but that's where my operating system's installed. And then this E drive is a hard drive, which has a terabyte of space. Alright, so what you guys can do, especially if you just want a fast, smooth computer, is to buy a very small SSD drive, maybe 150, 250 gigabytes, and install Windows onto it. And then get an external drive or another hard drive, and use that to put all your information, like your documents, your photos, your music, your videos, and all of the stuff that takes up a lot of space onto that, because you can still access everything in here. I mean, I got my Steam, I got all my games that I play on Steam all on the hard drive, but the main use for the SSD drive is just so you can have Windows on it, and that will make a huge difference in your performance of your computer. And it's a very, very cheap upgrade you can do. I think the 150 gigabyte one's like $75 if you come to this website. Another thing, as I said, if you're a user that only has 2 gigabytes of memory, go upgrade your memory, buy more RAM, alright, if you're going to run Windows 10. Especially if you're running Windows 10 or Windows 8. If you're running Windows 7 or Windows Vista or even XP, you really only need 2 gigs. And they'd be free. But if you're running Windows 8 to Windows 10, you want to have at least over 6 gigabytes of memory. I recommend 8, okay? So that is some of those very crucial steps that you should take when you are working on a computer. That is why it's going slow and stuff, okay? Now, a lot of people don't have SSD drives. That's why I'm recommending people to get them, because that's going to really help a lot of your issues with your slow computer. And now, of course, we're going to go on to the other steps. Your computer may have an SSD. You may have an SSD drive. You may have a lot of RAM. You may have a gaming rig. You may have the best computer ever. But if you haven't maintained it or kept it clean, your computer's going to go slow, alright? And it depends on what you do, too, and the CPU. Alright, so if you don't have that good of a computer, what I commonly see is people in Google Chrome, they have all kinds of tabs open here. I'm just going to open up all these tabs. And they're running why their computer's going slow. The more tabs you're going to have open, obviously the more memory it's going to use. You don't have much memory. You don't have that good of a computer. It's a $200 computer, $350, or a $400 computer that you bought. I mean, I'm not going to go and include after tax, so your computer probably comes to over $600. But still, if you bought a cheap computer at Best Buy or somewhere like that, you're obviously going to have a slow problem with all these tabs open, and people wondering, why is the computer going so slow? I mean, some people tell me that they like to have all these tabs open so they can go back and forth and do multiple things, and that's fine. But I mean, to be honest with you, there's not much of a hassle to open up a browser and then go to the website like this. Facebook is what most people go on, and just use one tab at a time. I mean, I've never used multiple tabs ever. I just don't have any use for it. But there's some people, I don't know why, but they like to have all those tabs open. And if you can see here, when you have all them tabs open, we can go into Task Manager, and it takes up more memory the more tabs you have open. Some people will have a video in one of the tabs playing, and then they'll be browsing the web, and they don't have that good of a computer. And you can see here, Google Chrome is taking up 47 megabytes of data. I got DDR4 memory in here, so it's hardly going to make my computer slow because this is a gaming computer. But for other users that don't have that good of a computer, you can see that Google Chrome is running so many times down here in Task Manager, and because you have so many tabs open. So the way you do that is browse with one tab. So as soon as I close Google Chrome out, it's gone. Alright, that's one of the reasons your computer goes so slow. So there's so many reasons why computers that I encounter are slow. There's people in here, if you right click on the bottom of your start menu and you go into Task Manager if you're running Windows 10, and you come down to Startup, there's people that have all kinds of programs that run when Windows starts. I mean, they can have over a dozen programs. Some people can have over 20 programs, and they're enabled to start when their computer boots up. And of course, that's gonna require, if you have a hard drive and you don't got an SSD drive like I recommended you, which you probably do. You probably all have hard drives. When you boot your computer up, you have all these programs. See down here in the corner that are running. All those programs have to run when you boot your computer up, and it makes the slow computer boot. It takes ages, and it's slow, and it's sluggish. And this can be very easy to fix if you right click and you can enable and disable them. In fact, if you disable every single one of these processes, your computer's going to start up still, and it's going to boot up better than it was with them being enabled. So I mean, if you are in here and you have all these programs enabled, shut them all off if you can, and it will help with your computer's performance. Now I'm going to leave CCleaner on because that's a cleaning software that I like to use, which we'll talk more about it later in the video. And I like to leave my Malwarebytes on, but I disabled it because I really don't. I mean, I don't recommend people disable their antivirus or anti-malware software, but because I'm a technician, I shut mine off to save performance, and it does save performance by disabling your security. But if you're a computer user that doesn't know much about malware and you get infected easily, don't shut down your antivirus software. Alright, but that's a way of making the computer at least boot up faster. And another thing I see with people is they use the computer and they don't clean their temp files, or they don't run a disk cleanup, or they don't run a program like CCleaner. CCleaner is a free program. I've talked about it in numerous videos. You click run, and this cleans all your junk files up for free. There's no payment. You don't have to pay. You can get the free edition of CCleaner. And it has a registry cleaner, but I don't like using registry cleaners. In here, you can uninstall a program. And in fact, I made a video yesterday about PC decrapifier. Check that video out. You can, if you have a lot of programs that are on your computer, and you have a hard drive, that's going to take a lot of your memory usage up. The more it's full, you may want to remove stuff off your hard drive. The more stuff you have on the drive, the more slow the computer will run. So you want to make sure you check that video out too. And those are some ways, you can make the computer go faster and stuff. If you go into it and look deeper, you hit your task manager. We'll click on performance. We get the list CPU. Right now, at 14%. We never want the CPU running at 100% consistently, otherwise your computer goes slow. Right now, I got only 3 gigabytes of memory using up, and I have 4.9 gigabytes free. So, sorry, my recorder software got cut off, so I had to restart the recording. So, yeah, what I was saying in here, you're looking under memory. Right here, 3 gigabytes of memory in use, 4.7 gigabytes available. So I have 8 gigabytes of memory. Like I told you, I recommend people to use at least 8 gigabytes of memory if you're running on Windows 8 or 10, right? And you can see here, I'm only losing basically half of my memory. So I don't, if this was like all the way to all my 8 gigabytes, if I was using it all up and this line was up to the top, that will be meaning that I have to find a way to shut down programs that are running to free up my memory. I got over $1,000 computer. So I built this gaming computer, so I don't really run out of memory. I can do so much with my computer, but check your memory out. You don't want it to be using up all your memory. If it's using up all your memory, buy more RAM. Or that's how you would fix that. Again, disk usage. This is where you can tell if the hard drive's breaking down on you. However, this is an SSD drive, so I don't think that this will really show anything. It's going to be at 0 all the time. Check disk C. Oh, look, disk C. There we go, the operating system. There's my SSD drive. It's pretty simple. If it's 100% constantly, if your disk usage is always 100%, make sure you go down into here, check your antivirus software. If it's running, shut it all off and do a quick test. Shut everything off so you just have nothing running down here. That's like if you're running an antivirus software and it's scanning the hard drive and you're running a hard drive, not an SSD drive. The read and write speed on a hard drive is so much slower compared to an SSD drive. So if you're running a hard drive and you're running an antivirus scanner in the background, it could be causing the hard drive usage to be 100%. So shut your antivirus software off and do a quick test with nothing really running. But Task Manager, shut down Google Chrome or all the programs that you're running down and stuff, and make sure you're only got this Task Manager window open on your desktop, and then check and see if the usage goes down. If it peaks to 100%, that's pretty normal for a hard drive, because a hard drive has got a really slow read and write time. That's why I recommend you buying an SSD drive like I have. But if it's running consistently 100%, it's time to replace that hard drive, and I recommend just replace it with an SSD drive instead, because it's a much faster drive. If your hard drive is always 100%, your hard drive may be failing you. That's one of the ways to check that your hard drive's failing you, or it's just not, or you're doing too much with your computer and your hard drive can't handle it. I mean, that's going to cause the computer to go slow, actually. And you may have enough memory free. You may have 8 gigs of memory like me. You may have your CPU not even 100%, but your hard drive may be 100%, and that's going to go slow. The CPU. Okay, now I'm telling people what happens if the CPU is constantly 100%. Well, the CPU is the most important piece of hardware in the computer. It's basically the main piece of hardware that makes the computer really good or really crappy. Basically, it's basically the processing unit. And if a CPU, and you got a laptop, let's say, and this is a bit, and it's always 100%. You may have a very, very poor CPU, or CPU might be going on you. They don't really go or die on you, but if you have 100% CPU usage all the time, and you've cleaned your computer and ran disk cleanup, CCleaner, or removed malware, and it's still 100%, perhaps your CPU is just not that good, and it can't keep up with the latest software and operating system. And you should just remove. And if you have a laptop, you should just get rid of the laptop altogether and buy a brand new laptop. If you have a desktop, you can try to upgrade the CPU, but the cheaper solution is to just rebuild your computer and start completely over, because the CPU is not a really easy replacement unless you know and you get the right one for the right motherboard, and it can be very challenging to upgrade a CPU if you don't know what you're doing. But as for disk, if it's 100% all the time and you don't have any antivirus software running, you can always replace the hard drive, but better off buy an SSD drive. That will resolve those issues. And looking in folder, we open its box, Resource Monitor. This will give us a summary of what process is taking up the most amounts of memory. So we can see under, if we make this bigger, we're going to go into the disk usage, and we'll go look at the read and write. We'll sort it by that. You can see what programs are honestly taking up all your most memory. Now, these are all system files, most of these, so you can't really do much about most of these softwares that are in here. However, there is one called the Windows Search Indexer that runs in here that you can shut down, that uses a lot of disk space. But you can kind of pan around. If it's a program that you use that's constantly using all the space, all the capacity, you can use this little utility, to figure out what it is. So, I mean, it breaks it down. So, for some people, a quick tip is to go into services. This will help if you're running on a blinking hard drive. If you're running on a hard drive, just come down to where it says Windows Search here. And by the way, I didn't explain how I got to that. If you hit the Windows key and you hit R and you type services in your run box, and then .msc, down here you'll look for Windows Search Indexer. The Search Indexer service, when it takes a lot of your hard drive space, it bugs your hard drive down. If you're running a hard drive, I recommend I've made videos about this in the past. I like to shut it off. I don't know why it's even running on my host computer. If you right click on it and select it and you click stop, and it will shut down that service, and it helps. It helps actually with your speed. And you right click on it again. Once you shut it down, right click on it again, go into properties. It's going to be on automatic start, and just disable it. Everyone can disable the Windows search because it won't harm your computer. In fact, it makes it faster. I mean, especially if you're having a slow hard drive. Another service you can shut down that helps is Superfetch right here. I've disabled it. Right click on it and again disable it if it's running. Click properties, startup type, and that is again, that's Superfetch, and shut that off and click apply. That helps to helps with your computer. Less work with for the hard drive that way. Alright, and we can exit that, return to the window. Another thing you can do to make your computer fast is use the built-in CCleaner disk cleanup utility in Windows. It's an addition of all Windows. Right click to get to it. If you you can get to it a number of different ways, but the way I'll show you today is to come down to Windows search. If you're running Windows 10, sorry, search disk cleanup, and it's right here with the disk cleanup utility. Other ways you can get it is right click on your start menu, File Explorer, come down to this PC, and look for your C drive. Right click Properties, then it's in here. It's disk cleanup. Run disk cleanup because that actually helps with your computer's performance. And then you can click clean up system files, and this frees up space on your hard drive. It makes your computer faster, and this may be what your real problem is if you haven't ran it enough. And run this frequently, every week. You'll get it'll help with your system performance big time. And click OK, delete the files, clean these temp files. It really helps with the computer speed. And another software, you may have on your hard drive, you may have videos and pictures and all kinds of stuff that you don't need anymore. And this is a free software. I did a review about it the other day. It's called Whiz Tree. Download this and then look for your C drive, click scan, and it's going to show you where all the space is that's taking up all space. So the Windows folder is taking 5 gigabytes of space up off my SSD drive. I can't really do much about the Windows folder because that's operating system files, but other times, take a look here, program files. I mean, you can see what programs are taking up the most space. If you use this utility, and if you need a more in-depth video of how to use this software, check my video out that I've made on how to free up the hard drive space. And this can really help narrow down where all the files are, a large quantity of space. Like if it's a video, if it's lots of videos you have taking up all your space, you can remove those videos. If it's lots of music you have on your computer, you can put it on another drive to save performance, and you can really free up hard drive space. This helps find out where all the areas of the hard drive that are taking all the space up. You can't do anything about anything in the Windows folder because that's your operating system, and it's 5 gigabytes, which is normal for most operating systems. Sometimes it might be more, I don't know, but you know, you can use this program to figure out where all the hard drive space, what's taking up all your hard drive space, and remove some stuff off the drive to help it. Alright, and last but certainly not least, malware. And then I talked about malware at the beginning. If you guys got malware on your computer, this is what everybody should do that watches this video. Open up a browser, look for a software called GRT. Just search GRT, Junkware Removal Tool, Malwarebytes Junkware Removal Tool, and download it. And have a run at this. I don't want to run the software because I'm afraid it will shut down my recording software and terminate that. But run Junkware Removal Tool. It's like a command prompt. I made a video about this in the past. Just run it. It will clean up your junkware off your computer. Another software to get is let's see, ADWcleaner. Again, I won't be running any of these softwares because they require you to restart your computer if it finds anything. ADWcleaner. Download it off Bleeping Computer. Run it. Do a scan on your computer, and download Malwarebytes after you run ADWcleaner. I'm just going to download the latest version. Alright, so ADWcleaner is very easy to use. You click scan, and it finds any threats on your computer for you. And then you can click clean, and it will remove it for you. Once you run, run ADWcleaner, run GRT like I just showed you, then download Malwarebytes, and scan your computer with Malwarebytes, and make sure you don't have any malware on the computer. Run the scan. Now, Malwarebytes is what I use to protect my computer from malware. Run a scan with Malwarebytes, and it will find any malware that you have or spyware for free and remove it for you. Run these programs. Oh, I found 10 threats. See, I haven't run ADWcleaner in so long. I've just found 10 threats. Did you see that? And some reason it's shut down now. I think there's malware actually on the computer of my host computer, and I haven't even ran that ADWcleaner in so long. So even me, I'm surprised. I've actually got some malware on here apparently, and I think it just terminated my CCleaner or my ADWcleaner on me. I think it shut down Malwarebytes too. So I have to figure out what's on my if my computer's infected at this time. For some reason, it's found some stuff I probably haven't got on to it, so I'll have to clean that up myself. But you know, if you got malware, check my video out on how to remove malware in my video description box. There's numerous videos about removing malware, and I'm trying to just pretty much sum up why people's computers run slow, because I'm trying to give you tips. Alright, so there's one thing I see. If you really don't have that good of a computer, what I commonly see is they have Windows set to run it high at its best appearance, with all the fancy animations, with all the fancy you know, with all the color schemes and all the good visual effects. And they say your computer is really old and you're running Windows 10, and you really don't need all that, because that slows your computer and you have a very slow, poor computer. This works with all edition of Windows. If you right click on your start menu, right click on it, and you go into here, go into system, go into advanced system settings, and go into performance here. You can adjust for best performance, which will on-tick everything, and that's probably your best bet if you have a really old, slow computer. Or you have adjust for best appearance, which will bring all the animated effects on. Or a custom. I like to do custom. I like to take the animation when opening and closing windows and stuff off and leave everything else on. That's the only thing that I find that slows the PC down the worst, is these animations when minimizing and maximizing. So I shut them off. But you can choose best performance or best appearance or custom and tick and on-tick ones you don't want, because that frees up, that actually helps the computer. And if you've got an old computer, that will help it tremendously run faster. So there you go. Run Malwarebytes, run ADWcleaner, run Junkware removal tool, scan for malware like I said, run CCleaner, remove all your temp files like I showed you in the video earlier, run disk cleanup like I just showed you in the video. Do all those things and shut down all the startup programs of Windows. And one more thing you can do before I go, if you've done all that, you have one more thing you can do. Write in MSC config into your start menu, or you can right click and hold the Windows key down, hold it down, hold Windows key down, hit R, write MSC config. When the system configuration utility window pops up like this, click on services. Down here, hide all Microsoft services and disable all the non-Microsoft services, and check the ones that you only want to have running, and restart the computer. After you ran all those softwares like CCleaner, Disk Cleanup Utility, Malwarebytes, and you removed all the malware and everything else you had on your computer, uncheck the ones you don't want, restart your computer. Now if the computer's still really slow, it's maybe time to replace your hard drive. I would start with the hard drive, or if it's 2 gigs of RAM that you have, I would start with upgrading your RAM, replacing the hard drive. If the computer is still running slow after you invested about $200 into the computer, and you bought a new SSD drive, you bought a new more RAM, then chances are it's your CPU then, or your computer just needs to be replaced altogether. So don't invest more than $200 on hardware. Otherwise, you're better off buying another computer. But I would start off by replacing your hard drive with an SSD drive, and then your RAM. But if you only have 2 gigs of RAM, then I would recommend replacing RAM first in the hard drive. But if you have enough RAM, I recommend the SSD drive, because the SSD drive is probably going to be the most best thing you can do to make the computer faster. Running Windows 10 or Windows 8 on an SSD drive is probably a really good idea these days. It will run faster. The computer here boots up in 15 seconds, and that's just because I have an SSD drive. It's a huge performance. Again, as I said, there's some cons. An SSD drive, you don't get much space, but I said you can get an external drive to put all your stuff on, and you'll be good to go. So I hope you enjoyed my videos, and this really explained why people's computers are slow. And taking these precautions, your computer can be very, very fast if you do things right. And if it's a hardware problem, I said upgrade to an SSD drive. You'll be much happier with one. That is all that you can do to free up space, make the computer faster, and I hope this video explains why your computer is so slow on both sides, hardware and software side of things. And if you enjoy my video, remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.